Hi everyone, welcome to MasayaPath. My name is Ron Bautista, and today, as always, we're here with Winnie Bautista. She is a coach on holistic nutrition with a focus on Ayurvedic as well as Chinese traditional medicine. Welcome, Winnie.
Hi, everybody.
So we had our first podcast a while ago, our first episode. We are going to do this more often. So I did want to start the conversation with what does that mean in terms of Chinese traditional medicine, Ayurvedic? How has that path looked like in terms of what are those components? How does that work?
Well, learning different ancient studies of how past societies have learned to heal themselves and to teach themselves how to use the food that you eat as medicine, as a supplement, obviously, and how to live more of a holistic, healthy lifestyle that incorporates mind, body, and the soul.
Yeah, no, and something we had discussed before was how there is one is a sense of like this also like we belong in that type of eating, that type of lifestyle. Something that I've seen that doesn't work for many people is that like regimen in terms of like you have to count your calories. You have to. I know that doesn't work for me, and I've heard other people who you've coached that that doesn't work for them either. That they're more like, I enjoy certain foods. What can I do? What have you seen so far in terms of that?
Well, I think every client is different based on, speaking. Like I had a couple already that I've had really great interactions with, and they're both they're very different. Their lifestyles are different, so that's why I think it's very important to talk about what is your lifestyle like. What is a day-to-day eating mean for you? Like, is it something that you just is food just something that you swallow to get over to do the next step, or do you actually is food like actually sacred for you? Like, do you really enjoy it? So there's a difference, and then knowing instead of viewing food as like, oh, this is healthy for me, but also make sure that it's also tasty for you based on your taste buds, right? Like something that I love that I found is I love food, but like switching the mentality that I have around food as like only the unhealthy foods are the tasty ones, right? So me personally, I had to grow into loving food as healthy and it's tasty. Like finding, like I feel like I had to discover that, like finding different vegetables that I love and like different techniques of cooking, and also different techniques of what will nourish me in this season of the year, right? And when it's really hot, like what foods can I take right now that'll help me cool down,
Can you give some examples of the summer foods?
Yeah, actually.
Because we switched it up a lot now that the summer came.
It's very different. So for summer, we're eating a lot of more fruits, right? Because that's when fruits are harvested and they're the most sweet. A lot of tropical fruits that I love, like because that's when, like summertime is when they're grown. So more bananas, watermelon, like different types of food. Specifically, it doesn't have to be fruits. So we also have like vegetables that are grown above the ground. So more leafy greens, more fresh things. Like this time, our bodies are warm already, so we can have a little bit more cooler foods. We can enjoy that. Like raw things, as opposed to in wintertime, we're having more stews, we're having more potatoes that are grown in the ground, right? Like we're eating with the seasons, like what is in season now, and you can kind of tell when you go to the grocery, and you can see like, oh, what is a good price and what is abundant. So it's actually like showing it to you. So when you go to the grocery, you're like, ooh, there's a surplus of plums, there's a surplus of nectarines, there's a surplus of berries, there's a surplus of all this, and it kind of makes sense, right? So you gravitate towards those as opposed to something a little bit more heavy, right? Like winter, we are cold, we need more meats, we need, like us, like we're eating lighter things, like ceviche I made the other day. That's super cooling, and
with
like
shrimp and onions, and
it's a little different than if we had it in the winter time, right? It just makes sense too for our bodies. And also this is the time of year we don't even have to eat that heavily, like because we're super active, right? Like we're eating more light things like salads, and so yeah, like those little things we've incorporated in our diet like this summer.
What's the reason behind those like seasonal, besides the fact that you can see them more in the shop, in the store? What's the connection with your gut health, with your health overall? That choosing of like eating by the season and when things are harvested.
Let me think. I think it's more gives you a guideline of to eat with what's most fresh, right? So we're eating things that we know are not traveling really far from like hot countries all the way over here, and like you see the travel time of it, and like also like we're trying to eat the most freshest, the most things that are pretty available during this season. So it's really simple. Like we're just kind of eating according to what is fresh right now, right? Like even in Ecuador, right? We don't like when you're in the coast, you're eating seafood, right?
Yeah.
Like kind of like that. Like you eat where your region is at.
And in terms of temperatures, you were mentioning about like the body temperature. In Ecuador, we drink a lot of hot soup. What's that dynamic?
Oh,
like?
that's funny. Yeah. I told you that before, and you were like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah.
Like, and it makes sense because in Ecuador, right? Like, you guys love soup, and a lot of countries too, like that like soup, and it's a hot country. But it actually makes sense because it actually regulates your internal temperature, and it keeps you actually at a good middle, right? You're not. It kind of balances out because you're super hot outside, but yeah, you would think like, oh, I'm eating something hot. Would I overheat? Actually, no. It kind of balances out because you're giving time for your digestion to kind of just digest, and you're not overworking it with like super cold stuff. Like it's kind of just a balance, right? That's why it's kind of nice and comforting to have something hot. So it also depends on the person too. Like some people can handle a little bit more cold foods, but there's others that, their digestion's a little bit sensitive, right? So hotter or warmer foods are just like easier to digest. It's a less shock to your system.
Gotcha.
And everyone's different. Yeah.
Yeah. Something that you mentioned once was how when you start your conversations with clients, you come in thinking like, oh, we're going to talk about nutrition, about all these different things, but the conversation evolves into, I think one of the main challenges for people overall, whether it's professionally, whether it's family, whether it's as a person in a community, is battling that having that sense of belonging, and also battling with that imposter syndrome that do I belong here, or why am I not comfortable in certain situations? What have you seen so far in terms of that?
Yeah, I feel like speaking to clients and like people like that we talk to on a regular, right? So you don't realize that they're all, you dream of being this thing, right? And then you put in the work, and then it's always like, am I ready? Am I good enough, right? But I think that just stops us from even trying. Like something like this, like you think, are we? But yeah, like sometimes people want to see the process. They want to see your authenticity, like what you are bringing to the table, even your struggles. Sometimes it's very vulnerable to say like, oh, I struggle with this, I do that, and it gets in your head, like, so you never want to try, right? But then I realize after seeing so many people that are also struggling with this, but maybe a different type, like you sometimes get it, I do, like we know so many people that do. But I just think that we just have to work through it, right? Because then if we let that fear take over, we never will ever try anything new. And we were just talking about that before with our daughter, right? Like right now she's trying to figure out emotions, and right, like she's constantly like scared. Like she's like, I'm scared. I'm like, and we're like, are you okay? But like everything is scary to her if it's something new. Even though we know she'll like it, everything that's like new is scary. But then we were like, okay, are you scared or are you excited? And she really had to think like, maybe I am excited, you know? And it made us think too, how fine line fear and excitement lives together, right? So it's like, damn, but it's what makes us feel alive. If we don't do the fear / excitement, like how will we ever, like we'll just be robots living in this life, like living in this, but we'll never fully find like true like happiness and like excitement and like a gusto for like, oh, I want to learn this, I want to do this. Like it makes you kind of think like they're very, very closely related, and like we need to kind of accept that more in society, that like fear and excitement live together. Yeah. And it's okay. Yeah. Let's do it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And something that came up also was that sense of self-care, or that need for self-care. And there's different types of people. I'm a bit outgoing, like I thrive in that environment of socializing and meeting people, but you're not that way. So what's your view, or what tell us about your experience, like how in terms of socializing, or like what kind of person are you?
I love that. I love that question, because it's something that I realize that it's okay to not be always outgoing, although I definitely have an outgoing side to me. But there are times where my best inspiration or my best self-healing happens when I'm alone, when I can be alone in a safe space that we've created, here, and just really unpack maybe the heavy things that come up, the little triggers that come up. I love being alone sometimes because it centers me and it gets me ready for, life. We can't always be alone. We have to be in public. We have to interact, right? But it helps me like prepare me for that, like for this, for all that, like all the things that we do that are maybe a little social. It comes easy for you, like you're just like, let's go, but sometimes there are people that need, like me, like I just need a little bit time, like I need that silence, I need that me talking to me type of thing.
How do you manage that? What do you call that also, that kind of I forget, that kind of person like doesn't like to be, we've seen a lot of TikToks about that. It's like, oh, this is how this kind of person feels when they go into the elevator and nobody else comes in.
Introvert, right?
Introvert.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I was looking at.
I'm literally the one that I don't know, I love to party. I love music so much, but I'll like go to the corner, right? So I can enjoy, because I don't know the energies around there. Sometimes like it's more like a protection type thing. And that was like the old me, right? So I'm like trying to grow through that too, and knowing that I'm protected anywhere I am, and little things like saying little mantras, you know, that help you kind of be centered. Like things that I like to say is like, I'm safe, you know, I'm confident, I am beautiful, like things that maybe you're a little bit self-conscious of, right? So when I feel that trigger come up, or I feel like my anxiety is coming through, at least I have those mantras that I say in my head that helps get me back to center, even though I might not be alone in the comforts of my home, and like, you know, I'm outside, but like inside I'm good, you know, if that makes sense, right? Like
you're centered.
Yeah, I'm good. So I mean, those little things have really helped me just navigate the whole you know, liking to be alone, but also like the need to be with other people, and like, you know, in the public space. And now that, you know, you're running, like, you know, it's another one, right? But like, we're family, we're part of, like, you have your life, I also have my life, but like growing together with that, and like, I love it. So it's, yeah, like I'm working on things, you're working on things, which is always a good thing to level up, right? Like to keep working on ourselves.
Yeah. And as an introvert, like, how do you mentioned the energy. And I had not noticed the thing about energies with people until like you started talking about it. Then I see a lot of other people are talking about it, like, oh, I don't like that person's vibe, or I don't like the vibe that's around certain people, and they tend to be like, I'm stepping away from that vibe and I'm going somewhere else, right? How are you able to protect yourself from that energy? And yeah, that is very real. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm definitely a bit of both. Like, I'm definitely an introvert. Like, I like to be alone. But like, you know me, I'm very like crazy. Like, I'm very loud. I'm like, people that really know me, like, yes. But like, again, I have to feel safe. I have to feel comfortable, right? And that's just me. Like some people, and that's, you know, what I'm working on. But the energy thing, it's something that maybe us in society we don't really think about, right? Because we're always judging with our eyes and like our mind, right? Like, but we're not, let's say, like feeling the vibe in a room, like, you know, like using that weird, like, different sense of like feeling the collective of the room. You know what I mean? I can't describe it, but there are times where I just like can enter a room and then I see like, oh, I feel this feels okay, you know? But then there are times where maybe it's a little bit heavy. I feel like everyone has that, like intuition, like that gut feeling. Maybe sometimes people who are who use that muscle, it's very easy for them, but everybody has it. You just have to work at it. You just have to actively, instead of maybe like feeling through things. Like, for example, for food, I'm like, okay, I want you to do something very new for yourself. I'm like, why don't you, when you eat, tell me how you feel. Tell me how you feel when you eat that. And then document that. And that's something very new, you know? And then like, but like, it's very important to know what does the food make you feel? And also be okay, like exploring that new version of you, right? And like, and I always try to say, like, when you are speaking to different people, which person do you feel like after you spoke to them, you're like, oh, I feel like uplifted, like I want to do stuff after speaking to that person. They like excited me, like they just made me want to like explore more. They gave me energy, right? So like I take note of that. But then there's some maybe that you're talking to and you're like, oh man, after that I feel tired, I feel drained, I don't feel good, I feel sleepy, or whatever, right? So that's kind of like how I go through it. Like that's how I view things, and like everyone has that like little power you can tap into, but maybe some people just need to tap into it more, because it's like it's pretty cool too, like to feel through things, and not just, and also like with your mind as well, like be smart with it, but like feel it. How does this feel to me? How did that interaction with that person feel? Yeah. How did the food feel? So
you incorporate a lot, to switch it up a little bit, you incorporate a lot of fermented foods. Could you give us examples of fermented foods?
Yeah, I mean, we incorporated fermented foods in our diet, and that's like something simple that I always say that you can just add, that really will help your digestion, really help your gut health. And that like was a game changer for us, right? Like every time we have something maybe a little bit heavy to digest, or like I love pizza, right? So like we'll have that with like a ton of spinach and a ton of like sauerkraut or kimchi. In my class we did like a pickled, like not a pickled, but fermented bruschetta, right? And then you can also incorporate pickles too as a ferment. Like, so these type of foods are really great for your gut, and they're very simple to make. It's basically we leave it out overnight, and then the bacteria the natural bacteria from the foods like ferment, and then and that's what we consume, right? And then that's just so good for your body and your gut, because we're made up of so much bacteria. So it's giving us good fighting bacteria. So when we feel maybe a little bit off, we have so much good bacteria, it's helping us. Beet kvass. I learned that from my school too, and like that is like a staple, right? You love it. It's like that beet drink that is very like refreshing. It's sour, sweet. It's like it's so good.
It quenches my thirst. Like when I come home and I'm like really thirsty, I drink some of that and I'm good.
It's so refreshing, and yeah, like so those are the little things that we've incorporated in our diet. And how do you feel?
Great.
Yeah, like
and that beet, what's it called?
Beet kvass.
Yeah, that one's on. You posted about it on Instagram.
Yeah.
So definitely do another video on how you make it.
Yeah,
too.
I think it's like maybe I should make a video about it, because it's literally 3 ingredients. Yeah. And it's really easy.
Yeah, yeah. It's better than having a juice.
Yes, and it's a
little fizzy, right?
It's very fizzy. If you leave it out, the longer it is, like it gets a little bit more fizzy, a little bit more sour.
What do you do after with a beet?
With
the beet that was in it.
So for the beet drink that I'm talking about, like you, like the first batch will be pretty strong, but you can actually reuse it for one more batch.
Oh, okay.
And then you can eat the beets, but most of the nutrients will be in the juice already.
What would you say is your favorite everyday food or weekly food?
My favorite everyday food. I feel like it changes, right? Like I feel like I go through different like obsessions. Yeah. So I was obsessed. I also learned this from my class, how easy it is to do like a teriyaki mushroom. Like I love mushrooms. So what will I do is I would get a bunch of mushrooms and then cook it with just these 3 ingredients: sake, mirin, and soy sauce. And then sometimes I'll add a little garlic if I want to be fancy, but that's it. and it's so tasty. And I am a bulk eater. Like, I need to eat a lot, but I also like, I'm trying to find like foods that I can eat a lot of, so, and then feel full, because I feel like I need a lot, but I want like a good amount, right? Like, I don't want just like a little plate. Like, I want a big plate. So like, I've been obsessed with that, like the something simple like that, mushrooms, and then what is it, like I would air fry some chickpeas, right, with like some yummy seasonings, and then make a whole bowl of like all these goodness. Like, so I've been obsessed with bowls for a long time. So like, I would make like either a Mediterranean bowl, like an Asian inspired bowl, maybe even a Filipino bowl. Like, sometimes I'll do like chicken adobo with other stuff, right? Yeah, like I think that's the best. Like, that's what I've been obsessed with, like finding out different bowls of cuisines that I can make.
Something you love, like that's your one of your faves is pizza.
I love pizza.
But something that was cool was when my cousin Sylvia visited, and then what did you recommend to her that, because pizza can feel heavy for many people, right? But you want to enjoy it too.
Yeah, I think.
What did you
I
add?
mentioned it earlier too, but like just, if you're gonna have something like a little bit greasy, a little bit heavy, I try to have something like a ferment, and then a leafy green to match with it. So yeah, like sometimes like I don't view like maybe I'll have the fried chicken. You can have like, sometimes you like that, right? Like, in moderation, everything in moderation. But then I'll make sure that I'll have the pickles with it. I'll make sure I have some colorful greens with it, leafy greens, and maybe like 2 other vegetables. So at least I can click that off, and I make sure to have it with it. And also a game changer too. Well, I've been doing this for a while, but like, I've been telling some of my clients too to just make sure that maybe if you have something heavy, have a warm tea after, right? Or even also, at game changer for me, like, I used to love snacking at night, like something little as changing the time you eat, like dinner, your last meal, like no later than 7 or 8, if you can, earlier the better, right? But like, having game changer is like having the time for your liver, your body to detox at night. That's when you are like, your workouts won't even matter if you're not giving your proper rest to your body, giving proper like a detox for your body at night. It's so important. A lot of things very important things happen at night, so a good rest and like making sure that you detox and not eat so late, it's really important. Like, if you're really hungry, eat in the morning, right? But like, it just helps really regulate yourself. And yeah, that's something like that we've been doing that's just so easy, that's some like a quick fix that people could just like implement like in their lives, you know.
And let's get a little bit deeper on the identity side. So you're Filipina.
Yes.
And
as the 97% Filipino.
Yeah, not just the Chinese side, right?
Yeah, and what, like
3% Chinese.
3% Chinese.
Yeah.
I really thought I would have a mix, but no, I'm 97% Filipino.
Yeah. What are some of the, because you've had conversations around like what happens, like there's, how do I get into this topic, right? In terms of the relationship culturally, between food, family gatherings, and that pressure, around family. How do you feel around those topics?
I love these questions because I'm not sure what the questions you'll be asking, so it's really great because it gets me thinking. But yeah, I mean, I didn't realize how much food is so important in Filipino culture. I mean, yeah, I realized, but I didn't know how hard it would be to kind of, no, how do I say it? I guess like when there's a family gathering, I love that we honor that there's a lot of like great food, right? Like we're all about like that big buffet line, and I love it. Like it's part of my culture. I love it, and I feel like let's let go of the guilt of just like, you know, let's go to a family gathering and like let's go to town, like let's enjoy, let's be thankful for all this blessings and this food. Because I think before, like maybe when I'm in the beginning of my health journey, I'll feel a little guilty. But like, why? Like these are the things that you live for, right? These are the fun things that we should incorporate in our lives, and then be also thankful that like this is our culture, right? But and then what I always say is like give yourself grace to, okay, enjoy the foods that you like, but again, like this, it's more like a lifestyle, right? Like, and then go back to square one, like, or like go back to your regular life, and like, you know, enjoy the time that you have with your family and like the food, and then when you get back to your routine, that's it. You know, so just be in the moment, be in the now, like enjoy the time and the food when it's there. And yeah, it's a little bit more on the greasier side, the heavier side, but that's okay too. So just like plan ahead, you know, make sure that you maybe when you get home you have like a nice warm tea to digest, like dandelion or something like that.
We definitely need that recovery period afterwards.
Yeah, like you'll just have the recovery period. You're okay.
We need more of that fermented food the next day, and be like, all right,
just a little balance.
Yeah,
you know, like you can enjoy. It's beautiful. Like that's what's the best thing about Filipino gatherings is like, oh man, it's like a feast for the eyes. Like you're just. It's like Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's always Thanksgiving in a Filipino party.
Yeah, but I love it.
Yeah. No, there's not that much difference between Thanksgiving and a Filipino party.
That's true.
It's always very similar in the amount of food and the types of food.
I love it.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, that you want to get into? Something you want to share at this moment? Something that you've thought about today?
I feel that I'm just thankful for this cycle that we're in. I noticed that, you know, we're both going through something exciting, but it's a little bit exciting / fear again, right? Like you're running, I'm finding my passion and what I want to show up as, and it's all like a great discovery, and we're all like, it's just an observation. I just love that we're having fun with it, you know. And we're just trying different things, seeing how it works, like not being stuck towards a way that this has been done this way, and like blindly following that. I love that, like we're questioning, like why do we have to do it that way? Like is it because that's how it's always been done, or am I being true to myself and like really having fun in this process? Like I love also seeing you really blossom into this new, I mean, I know you love politics, but it's really cool seeing you like kind of add all the things that you've learned when you, like from school, from running a few times, right? But not, you're inspiring because you haven't you haven't failed in a way where it stopped you. It, like each one made you stronger, and you kind of just kept going and you kept going. And it's very, I love seeing it, because so many times, like I think we try something and we fail, and then are like, oh, I'll never do it again. like I'm embarrassed, I'm this and that. But I love that you inspire me because you make me try different things. Like we don't know where this will lead us, but all I know is that this is fun. All I know is like I love that a lot of people in our lives are also are breaking out too, like are speaking up, making podcasts, creating more things. Like I love that as like we're seeing people, whether it's in our jobs, whether like we meet them or friends, or like we hear of somebody, we're like, oh wow, people are really like creating, they're really like thinking, they're really sharing and having fun and being vulnerable. Like I love that. Like that's just something that I'm really like happy to just witness. And I'm really happy that like we're both doing this, and you know, I love it.
I think thank you. I think that it's like the vulnerability is important. It's important because that's how you also create a connection with other people. Like, hey, I'm growing too. I'm developing too, right? Just because I'm running for office doesn't mean I'm perfect. Just because you're coaching people in regards to holistic nutrition doesn't mean that you're perfect. It means like, hey, this worked for me. And then when you have those conversations, I'm hearing you because I can't hear the other person. I'm hearing you, and it's like, you know, you're sharing your journey. And you're growing with them, so you know I'm excited about that.
That's something that I learned too, which is really nice. Is that let's get out of the image of, I need to get this amount of like degree, or I need to do this amount of hours. I need to do. Like if we just take that out and just talk to someone as like a human and really talk about our journey, because it might help them, because we see similarities of their struggle, and I just went through that cycle and it might help her. It's great, but it's definitely not me like saying that I'm this, high up there, but it's me more telling her, or like a client, right? Like that I've been through that, and you're gonna get through that. Like you are going to find the tools to really help yourself thrive and like get to the next cycle of this life, like really in a great position, right? And just like me, I'm also going through another cycle of my life, so what's cool is that we both can vibe off of the intention that we're setting in this space that we're talking, like even this one that we're setting, that we hope that people hear this and then get something out of just us talking about like our vulnerability, our way to our soul's purpose, right? And also if we can help anyone along the way through it, like the more that we all raise up and we help each other thrive, and we really truly want the best for each and every one of us, because the more we're all winning, the better, right? And again, like I was telling you, I love that you're switching the idea of what a politician is supposed to be. Instead, you are a servant of the people, public servant, right? Like I love that, because then we've lost so much of what a public servant is supposed to be. Like a politician is supposed to be a public servant, but sometimes they're not serving the public. And sometimes, like, I'm not a politician, but I also want to serve as much as I can in the capacity that I can.
And in the focus that you have.
And the focus that I have.
And in the passion that you have.
Exactly.
And the topics that you know.
Exactly. Yeah. And I would love to just, like, if I just can help them, it helps me too. Like, it's also like a very symbiotic relationship. I'm also receiving help by teaching and helping and holding that space of like vulnerability and like love and gratitude. Like we're both learning. We're both like, we're both getting there.
Both growing.
We're both growing. So,
Yeah.
yes. It's a good talk, right?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
So follow us on MasayaPath. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok, and you'll see a lot of the posts from Winnie.
Yeah, I'll post some more cooking videos and more stuff there. Like, I want to be more active, so follow us along the journey.
Thank you.
Thank you.